I'm a therapist who loves to read, and here are 6 reasons as to why fairy smut is actually good for our mental health. Now, for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using fairy smut as a catch-all term for all fictional books like romance, fantasy, romantasy, obviously the SJM books that have been popularly termed as fairy smut or fairy porn by, let's just say it what it is, by men, because they've gained a lot of popularity from women over the past recent years. Now, that being said, a lot of the benefits that we're going to talk about today certainly also relate to general fiction books, as well as some of these even nonfiction books. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be honing in on romantasy. We're going to start with the data and then move on to my own clinical opinions. So, starting with number 1, we have distress tolerance. Reading fiction books can improve our flexibility in thinking and reduce our need for urgency. We do this by really immersing ourselves right into a plot that unfolds over time. We have to invest our time and energy to gain a sense of closure and certainty. And in some cases, we may never gain a sense of closure and certainty. Doing this repeatedly builds up the skill of distress tolerance by being able to sit in other uncomfortable emotions or circumstances. Number 2, we have communication. So it seems that reading and speech have a bidirectional reciprocal relationship. So basically, what this means is that as our reading skills improve, so does our speech, and vice versa. Number 3 is relaxation. So reading can actually improve our relaxation and reduce stress better than some other self-care activities, such as music, walking, playing video games. This might be because reading forces us to actually be present, right? Especially for my fellow girlies that like to read the physical book. We're forced to avoid other distractions. You can't get on your phone, right? As I still often do when I'm just watching TV. It also allows us to be fully immersed into this fantasy world, which allows us to compartmentalize and forget about our own stressors for a short amount of time. My own thoughts to that as well. I think when we find ourselves immersed into that world alongside the character and they're defeating some sort of common evil, it also can instill some type of hope and resilience in our own lives for whatever we're struggling with. Number 4, we have empathy and emotional intelligence. I think this benefit is a little bit more well known and has been talked about on TikTok or booktok before. But reading fiction actually transports us into what we call a mental journey. This allows us to identify with the characters that we're reading about and be emotionally transported into the world, right? So, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, their motive behind why they make certain decisions and actions, which actually is a test in our own empathy, right? And might help us even do that for other people in our life. And consider doing that. Additionally, by practicing that mental skill of identifying and understanding another individual's emotional experience, we are also enhancing our emotional intelligence. Moving on to number 5, this is going to be again my own clinical opinions and impressions. We're going to call number 5 feminism in romance. A lot of these romantasy, fairy smut books that we're reading are written by women for women, which centers the women experience rather than a lot of maybe the TV and movies and other media that we might consume that is written by men for the male gaze. This really upholds our own experience and places us as number 1. Additionally, it puts us in the empowered position of a heteronormative relationship. Second part of the kind of smut part of it, smut can actually reduce shame around sexuality. It can help readers learn more about what they like, and again, female center pleasure over male pleasure. Lastly, I really adore enemies to lovers trope because I think it really centers the idea that somebody can see the absolute worst sides of you and still Love you. Last up here, we have representation. Now, clearly, representation can mean a whole lot of different things, especially when we're discussing like the value of shared identity in terms of book characters. But for today, I really wanted to like talk about the value of representation in terms of like mental health. One of the reasons why me, myself, and others really love the Sarah J. Maas books is because she does just such an excellent job of like integrating mental health journeys and stories into her characters, and in my opinion, like really centers humanity in characters who may not even be human or are no longer human. The value of being able to see a character who maybe you see as someone who is stronger than you, more resilient to you, maybe like some type of like model, right? Overcome struggles that you also relate to and that you also struggle with. It's just astronomical. So whether that is like anger, anxiety, depression, trauma, I mean, there's not really a single character that I can think of within her books who doesn't have some like sort of diagnosable PTSD symptom, to be honest. So that's all I've got. Those are the 6 reasons as to why I think that Faerie Smut can improve your mental health. If I've missed anything below or any way that maybe these books have helped you, please let me know in the comments. I'd also love to do a series on like psychoanalysis of some of these popular characters, maybe starting with SJM characters, since she just gives us so much to work with. So if you have a character in mind that you think I should start with, let me know.